Hey guys, and welcome to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. Today we're going to be continuing our best of 3 series between Naniwa, the red Protoss, this time spawning in the top right position, against FnaticRain, the blue Terran, over on the top left. This is a continuation of the series from DreamHack Valencia, and so far we have had some fan-freaking-tastic games come out of that replay pack. I'm super excited that we are actually starting to wrap up. We think I have 2 or 3 more series to cast after this one. But I can guarantee you that just from looking at the replay quantity alone, these are going to be some fantastic series. So let's actually look at the map here. Shakura's Plateau, I think most of you are familiar with that. I would not be surprised if we saw this turn into a good, solid macro fight. A lot of times you'll see players like do one gate fast expand, or just rather one gate expand. I use that fast rather loosely, but Rain as well could be doing some kind of one racks into CC build, or he could decide to maybe punish Naniwa for possibly doing something like that. We're going to be scouting. We're going to watch them scout out and see where they're spawning at. You know, they are more or less close by air. Of course, for you newer players, you cannot spawn directly underneath your opponent, like he knows his opponent is not there, and likewise, Red knows that his opponent is not there. So you're going to see them scout over here and here first. Fortunately, it looks like Naniwa is going to be scouting out his opponent before heading down here and checking the empty spots. So that's actually going to work out really well for him. But look at this right here. Rain, thinking ahead, dropped that second depot like we saw in game number 1, and is going to be blocking access to the base. Now, this may seem like kind of a trivial thing here, but the fact that you can deny vision of that gas... Uh-oh, is this thing actually going to go down? Whoa! Super sexy catch, man, by Rain at the last second. Literally, one more shot, and that thing would have been dead. Ooh, already getting some intense action here with the probe, man. Naniwa, the beast that he is, going to have that Marine pop out here in just a second. We're going to see that go away. Anyways, getting off track. What I was going to say was the fact that you can deny access to scouting that gas to see if maybe we're going to have some sort of 1 or 2 racks pressure play, or going to be going for an early expansion. That's crucial information. And so the fact that Rain was able to deny that is going to work out very well for him and put him at an early information advantage. Now, of course, Rain can come up here and spot, okay, pretty similar opener to game number 1. We've got that 1 racks, double gas. Likely going to be seeing a couple sentries come out after the Stalker, and then going ahead with an expand. Again, that build, since you're getting those sentries, they're very heavy on the gas, very light on the minerals, which are what you need in order to get that expansion going quickly. And also, a good defensive unit. You look and see, not only do you have this 1 ramp right here, which you can hold quite a long time with force fields, but also, you can even hold this one with just 2 force fields at a time, man. It works out pretty well. So Rain going ahead and dropping his command center at the natural, as opposed to, say, dropping it up here out of visual range of the ramp. But he's got these Marines, so he's going to be able to kill any scouts that happen to come wandering by. We, of course, can spot the Stalker is going to be running around. Pretty much the point of this is to come out, and he knows that... the Stalker is going to be more powerful than any one Marine that happens to be running around, which is likely going to be the unit of choice for claiming a watchtower for Rain. So he's going to be running around checking that, and we, of course, have that expansion going down for Naniwa as well. Now, as far as what we could see later on, I'm anticipating we're going to see more of the same. Robotics facility, I feel, worked really well for him, but again, that was more kind of a result of the fact that Rain, I feel, tried to basically overextend himself with that Marine pressure, you know, in game number 1, where he saw the sentries, but he decided to go ahead and continue that engagement anyways, and ultimately it put him at a supply disadvantage that he wasn't quite able to catch up from. So Rain, you see, he's kind of going ahead with a little bit more of a defensive posture here. He's got this barracks already good to go, keeping the Marines up top, but not really looking to go out and do a whole lot of pressure. Again, this would be a map that would be very difficult and very risky for Rain to try to do that same type of play on. Now, something I would like to see, keep in mind, this is not a 1.4 replay like the previous game, so might not have as high of a chance, but Warp Prism play, considering the fact that they're both close by air, that would always be something great. Of course, the robotics facility, The nice thing about that, get those Colossi out. One thing you got to watch out for as a Protoss player, though, it is so easy for Rain, once he's got his economy going, his structures up, to transition into a build that focuses very heavily on anti-Colossus play. The fact that you can make those medevacs 2 at a time from that starport when you've got that reactor up like that means that you've got to be very careful with that Colossi play. You need to be ready to transition out of it entirely, or at least a reduced quantity, depending on how much of an air reaction you actually get from your opponent. Now, we can see up here a couple additional gateways just finished. Everything's looking fine in that regard. Let's take a look at the income real quick. 32 to 29. So Terran obviously ahead just a little bit. He's got enough SCVs to close that gap and make the mule push it over. But they're also even on gas, of course. We do actually have both players near identical timings on that third gas as well. Looking at the army size, you can see Protoss really has not invested a lot into it. He's got these 3 right here. He's also got the Observer, which I believe counts as an army unit for the statistics here. And we can just look at the units themselves and see plenty of Marines. So you see he's keeping all those right here. He's looking around for Observer, seeing if he can find anything. Also, keeping the Marines in the main, I think, is a good idea. Again, the threat of any sort of air harassment, drop pressure, warp prism, anything in the SCV line would be pretty devastating at this point in the game. 2 bases apiece right now. Of course, we could see the SCV 35 to 40. And here comes what I like to coin as the Terran Observer. Big old clunky factory. I mean, hey, he has no other use for it right now. He's got his starport. He has his barracks. He's got everything that he needs to get. And we're just going to see him probably tech up and get a Ghost Academy here at some point. But, yeah, so anyway, he's going ahead and getting the Colossus. He doesn't have any of those meat shields that you often want to have in your Protoss arsenal. You see, he's pretty much just dedicating this to getting out as many Colossi as possible. Now, this is actually a very effective technique. If you can kind of... I call this kind of the Colossus Storm, and I do this when I'm 1v1ing, 1 versus 1ing on the ladder. If I decide to go with Colossus, more often than not, I won't open with it, because I know that Terran will likely just expect it, but if he sees that I don't have any Colossus, he's going to continue focusing on medevacs, Marines, Marauders, and then I can just go ahead and build a whole bunch of them when he's not quite expecting it, and he might not have as many anti-air units, and that is going to mean the Colossus is going to be more effective. But you see here a fantastic drop by Rain, taking out that Colossus. That's actually a really substantial loss there for Naniwa. He is down to 1 Colossus. Look at that, man. He only lost a couple units, I think 1 Marine and 1 Marauder total. If that, maybe just a couple Marines. But you see that the forces have now been drawn back into the main base, and Naniwa... Nice, a little bit of a preemptive blockage right there. I think he was anticipating forces coming up from the main, maybe not quite knowing that his opponent, of course, is down here. But we see that he does not have control of either watchtower, and he's still a little worried about that drop. Of course, the dropship's just hanging out barely outside of range. We do, of course, have the Terran Observer continuing to scout around and look and see maybe the unit composition, how many forces are committed up here. We can see that a drop was attempted, not quite successful. I mean, really, this again was just him poking around, not really trying to commit to any substantial force in the area. But you see, Naniwa is smart. He's got his forces split up here, and this is a problem that a lot of newer players make, or a mistake rather, is that they see something that they have to react to, and oh my god, they send all their forces up to the top of the map, and then bam, you know, what's protecting your natural? So he has just enough to prohibit that drop from doing any serious damage, and he's got the rest of it down here. Of course, we also have him moving around with a Stalker, and possibly going for a third as well. Dropships still... This is actually really important. The fact that these dropships are still kind of hanging around, of course, this factory is just barely in, and I don't think it's quite in visual range, no. But they're both kind of hanging there. It's kind of a psychological thing, you know. How many forces should I commit to this for defense? Can I poke the front, and can I bring these back? You know, really, how much attention do I need to get this? And it kind of can set some players off balance. So there's that as well. And Naniwa moving out now with his 3 Colossi. You see, okay, he's got a decent number of Zealots. He doesn't have a lot of Okay, he's got 6 Stalkers. I was going to say, he didn't have a lot of anti-air, but look at this, man. Rain, this is what I'm talking about. He spots those Colossi, and he knows that is going to be the huge damage-dealing unit in this composition. So if he can negate that, if he can take those out of the equation, then the rest of this is just going to be easy pickings. So Of course, we have additional Marines combat shields on the way, and pretty much just the standard infantry that you would expect to see. I do like the bunkers, the positioning on that. Very nice indeed. And Naniwa decided to go ahead and commit to this attack. We don't have any ghosts available just yet, but we are going to see those Vikings just annihilate the Colossi. Look at that, 1, 2, and 3 going down. Oh, wow, that one is just super lucky. It manages to get a kill amongst all that. But now, I don't believe we have that drop yet. I think it actually retreated back over here. Yeah, so I think that was actually taking place while the attack went. But overall, I would have to say that Naniwa is not sitting in a great spot right now. You can see 3,300 to 1,100 in terms of resources lost there. And of course, we have a Twilight Council and a Forge on the way. Really needs to get some of those upgrades going. We see he is 0-0-0 at this point in time, whereas his opponent is currently 0-1. So he's got a little bit of advantage in that particular area. Income 44 to 58. So again, Terran's sitting in a pretty good spot. And as far as the actual unit composition goes, you can see pretty Marauder-oriented now. So that's definitely what he needs to be transitioning into. Something to basically be able to take those hard hits, those splash damage lasers that the Colossi have. But you see there's a lot of Zealots here. He does not have the charge upgrade yet. I think he has that on the way. Yes, he does. He's also going for possibly double upgrades. I say possibly because I don't see it going just yet. And he is running on 2 base gas right now, trying to get these upgrades with the Templar Archives on the way. It's likely because the fact that he's just sitting on 2 bases, he's not going to be going for Psystorm. More an immediate need for Archons than anything else. Of course, Archons do a light amount of splash damage as well as extra against biological units, which you see comprise the bulk of the dangerous force down here. Couple medevacs and Vikings are the lone exceptions, but we are going to see Rain move out now. He's probably thinking, okay, I've got a decent advantage, but I need to make sure that I can capitalize on that. You see, he's got the dropship over here, checking for an expansion, making sure that his opponent does not have a third while he takes his own, but the pylon is blocking it. Very smooth move indeed. So a second one going down for Naniwa. Again, I think this is just a pylon in anticipation of warping in some units or harassment, possibly to divert attention from a bigger fight or some other harassment that Naniwa may decide to do, but Rain is prepared for it. He's got a bunch of infantry up here at his main, rallied over next to the spot right there. And Naniwa actually supply block now. So while that's not, that's not the worst thing that could possibly happen. That is just adding a problem onto an already bigger pile of them. The fact, okay, there we go. Now he's at least back out of the red, but it's still a 30 to 40 supply gap. You have 40 right now, and that's just not going to work out super well for Naniwa here in the coming fight, which I expect that Rain will be able to hold his own here. That's a lot of Zealots, though, man. That's one thing I'm thinking about, is the fact that he has got just a ton of those meat shields. I'm really going to be curious to see where they decide to engage. I'm sure Naniwa is going to be looking to engage somewhere where his Zealots can get a good surround. Oh, man, it sucks to be those Marines there. Basically just making room for a ghost in the army. That'll be oh so critical. Look at these Zealots, man. This is just asking for an EMP. I don't think it's going to be available in time, however. As you see, the Terran player is retreating back. He wants to get out of this closed-ish area and possibly out into the open where he can do lots of stutter step micro. Likewise, if he decided to engage there, he could force the Zealots into a choke position and get some great EMPs, but that would not quite be the situation here. Very important information. Both of those Colossi taken out right as soon as the battle starts. We're seeing one Guardian Shield go down, but the Vikings coming to landing and doing tons of damage from the back end, while the Zealots are just kited back oh so gently. And there's the GG from Naniwa, giving Rain a tie here in this series, 1-1. Very, very intense match. Let's go on to game number 3 and see how it ends.